of journalists in Tunisia. The organization has strongly criticized the Tunisian authorities' actions and condemning the recent arrest of a journalist on January the 3rd, 2024. This move is viewed as an attempt to stifle free speech and silence dissenting voices, prompting calls for the upholding and preservation of freedom of expression laws. In a statement received by Shia Waves agency, Free Muslim highlighted the global pattern of press oppression and gave repercussions it entails. The oppression of journalists and the suppression of truth tellers has become all too common occurrence across various regions of the world, the organization expressed. Not confining to its concerns to Tunisia alone, Free Muslim drew attention to similar incidents in different global contexts. It cited examples such as the suppression of journalists covering conflicts between nations like Russia and Ukraine, media censorship in China, reporting constraints during the Palestine-Israel conflict, and instances of persecution faced by journalists in India. The organization stressed the fundamental need for the safety and protection of journalists, irrespective of the nature of their reporting, of their religious and ethnic backgrounds. Journalists must be shielded from political persecution to ensure their stories reach the public domain, Free Muslim emphasized. Free Muslim underscored that these practices flagrantly violate constitutional articles that guarantee public rights, journalistic freedoms, and the right to peaceful expression of opposition. It issued a stern warning against the perils of sliding into tyranny and dictatorship. The organization urged the Tunisian authorities to respect freedom of the press, emphasizing the vital role journalists play in upholding democratic values and informing the public. It called for immediate measures to safeguard journalists' rights and prevent further erosion of press freedom in the country. Live with us, we have the director of the Free Muslim organization, Mustafa Akhwand. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for having me.
Alhamdulillah, all good. Amidst threatened and heightened journalist arrests in Tunisia and various global regions, what motivates do you believe underlie these nations' efforts to suppress voices despite condemnation from human rights organizations?
Well, I believe in general, it's two aspects. One is there is an agenda that these countries have. They have spent money to get to that agenda. And if journalists come and showcase the truth, they are disturbing the agendas that these countries have. And in addition to that, it's like a tsunami effect. If it's a small wave and journalists start to tell these stories more often, then this tsunami happens where the small wave becomes a large wave, and it changes the momentum in the country. The opposition has a voice to speak, and journalists have always given a free pass, but the free pass comes with so much expense: the expense of security, expense of safety, fear of being targeted in these countries. So unfortunately, countries want to silence the journalists who are telling the truth, and the truth that changes the momentum in the country, regardless of the cause. Now, some think that these countries should... Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Some people believe that these countries should stop prosecuting journalists, and some people feel that these countries have the right to do so. But in reality, journalists should have the freedom of telling the truth without being penalized for their job.
Considering the distressing circumstances faced by journalists, is there sufficient concerted action being taken by humanitarian organizations and groups to effectively confront and rectify these grave violations?
Unfortunately, no, and I'm very sad to say not only on the humanitarian level, there's not enough work to be done as far as the NGOs go on the ground or outside the country, paying attention to the news that's happening. Also, the journalists from other entities and other networks, they are not backing each other up. They're not staying united. When something happens against, for example, XYZ network or XYZ broadcaster, others may not pay so much attention to it, but we have seen in the past where when a journalist was killed or disappeared by a country, when people united, journalists and civilians, they united into sharing the story repeatedly, that particular country changed the way that they were suppressing the news and oppressing the news agencies in general. So I believe that it needs to be a united effort between NGOs, also civilians, anyone who is interested in the truth, and reassuring that people are exposed to the real happening on the ground circumstances. the real news. Also, what we noticed was China used this method where they made fake news at the beginning of when they were oppressing the Uyghur minority. They created and hired journalists who would mention the news the way China wanted to control the narrative. And by doing that, there was a diversion of people's attention to what is the truth, what is fake news. So it is important that people double fact check anything they hear. They go online and search and try to find the truth. And if they want to share something, do a background check on what is happening and not just click the share and think that, wow, I'm going to be the first to share this news and I'll be famous for doing so. People are an element of change in every society. Journalists are not aliens or people from other countries or other planets. Journalists are people who pay attention to the news of a country because they're dedicated and passionate about that country. And it is their job to showcase the truth. As civilians, as people who read the news, we also have the responsibility to make sure we pass on the news that someone has risked their life to obtain, as opposed to someone who's hired by a country just to say whatever the country wants and again control the narrative.
Indeed, indeed. That was live from Washington, D.C., the director of Free Muslim Organization, Mujtaba Akhund. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Let us remind our respective views of today's headlines. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi remarks on settling financial disputes and the role of the jurist. United Nations decries deadly terrorist attack on the Afghan Hazara community. Free Muslim non-violence organizations concerned over targeting of journalists in Tunisia. Also tonight, Iraq, Saudi Arabia cooperate to enlist Old Pilgrimage Road on World Heritage Site. Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has won a fifth term in power, with her party taking 3/4 of seats in parliament, election officials said on Monday on January the 8th. The opposition Bangladesh National Party, or the BNP, which has seen its ranks diminished by mass arrests, called a general strike and along with dozens of others refused to participate in what they dubbed a sham election. At least 18 arson attacks preceded the vote in the election, which saw a modest 40% turnout. The overwhelming majority of the seats in the parliament was secured by Hasina's political allies. Hasina has presided that over breakneck economic growth in a country once beset by grinding poverty, but her government has been accused of rampant human rights abuses and a ruthless crackdown on dissidents. And now we'll continue with some short news. A bomb blast in northwest Pakistan near the Afghan border killed 5 police on polio vaccination guard duty and wounded more than 20 on Monday, the latest in a series of attacks of Islamist militants ahead of the February 8th national elections. The Pakistan Taliban, an umbrella group of militants also known as Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, or the TTP, claimed responsibility in a statement that Reuters confirmed. According to a police official, the blast hit a truck full of police on their way to guard a polio vaccination drive in Bajur tribal district. Armed gang members killed at least 17 people in attacks in northwestern Nigeria's Kaduna state, the TRT World reported. The gang members carried out attacks on 3 villages in Karu district, killing at least 17 people and kidnapping 58 people, reports said Sunday. Nigeria has recently been facing attacks by armed gangs in different parts of the country, as well as by the terrorist organizations Boko Haram and ISWAP, the West African branch of Daesh. In Nigeria, kidnappings for ransom are also common, even though the punishment for the crime of kidnapping is death. The gunmen usually target villages, schools and travelers in the north of the country, demanding high amounts and ransom. It should be mentioned that Nigeria has one of the largest Muslim populations in Africa, with about 52% of the population adhering to the growing faith in Islam. The Directorate of Roads and Bridges in the holy city of Karbala, Iraq, has announced the beginning of paving the process of Ain al-Tamil Road, one of the routes the pilgrims to Imam Hussein Holy Shrine on the Holy Arba'in take on their foot journey. Senior engineer Hassan Abu Tahin, the project supervisor, said that the technical staff at Directorate have begun the process of paving of Ain Tamil Road, which links the district to the city centre from the direction of Hur district. Abu Tahin also added that the project, with a total length of 13 kilometres, is launched based on the funding received from the Ministry of Construction and Housing due to the importance of the strategic location. The residents of the holy city of Karbala have welcomed the project, confirming that it will facilitate the movement of pilgrims and reduce the rate of road accidents. In the presence of Iraq's Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, the other officials and local residents of the Iqar Governorate in southern Iraq witnessed today opening of the Ya Hussein Road project. This project, with a total length of 3 kilometers, is one of the important projects in the city, as it connects the north of the Iqar with the south, extending from Suq al-Shuyukh to Nasiriyah. In addition to facilitating the movement of the residents of the city, the new road also serves the pilgrims of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, who pass through the city towards the holy city of Karbala on the Holy Arba'in pilgrimage. The opening of the Ya Hussein Road was met with great satisfaction by the people of the Iqar, who considered it as a major achievement that will contribute to improving the traffic situation in the city and facilitating the movement of people and goods. A Muslim man was arrested and sent to jail on Saturday for offering adhan at a 250-year-old mosque in India's Uttar Pradesh. Shamli's Omar Qureshi was booked under IPC Section 505, Promoting Enmity and IT Act, following a complaint by a representative of a village head. The police claimed that Qureshi went to the site on Friday and tried to perform prayers, thereby violating a 1940 British order. The structure, referred to by Muslims as a Mughal-era mosque, stands today despite being partly destroyed over time. The Iraqi Ministry of Culture, Tourism and Antiques announced that it has prepared a plan with the Saudi Heritage Authority to manage the old pilgrimage road as part of the requirements for nominating the road to the World Heritage List. The ministry said that the nomination file is the first cross-border file in the Arab countries. In a press statement to Shia Waves agency, Ayad Hassan Abdul Hamza, Director General of Maintenance and Preservation of Antiques in the ministry, explained that the plan included close cooperation with stakeholders represented by the Governor of Najaf Ashraf, Majid al-Wa'ili, who assigned his advisor Hussein Shibli to be part of the team in order to complete the nomination and preserve the archaeological sites located within the road from various violations. He added that there was close cooperation with the relevant ministries to rehabilitate buildings, wells and pools within the nominated sites, which are al-Qurun, Sharaf al-Talatah and al-Uqab, and develop the sites, construct road networks and services and rehabilitate them to receive visitors and researchers. Abdul Hamza stressed that after the completion of the file, it will be submitted to UNESCO to send experts from the World Heritage Council, the ICOMOS, to inspect the project and then vote on it. According to some historical sources, the length of the pilgrimage road is about 1,400 kilometers from the holy city of Kufa in Iraq to the holy city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia, and is considered one of the most important pilgrimage and trade routes during the Islamic era. In a rapidly changing landscape of cannabis products, a recent study highlights the alarming susceptibility of the adolescent's brain to the harms of THC. The research published in the journal of JMAA Network opened that the adolescents who use cannabis are twice as likely to develop depression or have suicidal ideation as those who don't use the drug. Scientists warn that THC, the main psychoactive component of cannabis, can interfere with the formation of crucial brain connections, leading to lasting issues with memory and learning. Neuroscientist Yasmin Hurd emphasizes the need to reconsider how we label these highly potent cannabis products, stating that they are essentially new drugs. We have reached the end of today's Shia Wave show. Let's remind our viewers of today's headlines. Grand Ayatollah Shirazi remarks on settling financial disputes and the role of the jurists. The UN decries deadly terrorist attack on Afghan Hazara community. 3 Muslim non-violence organizations concerned over targeting of journalists in Tunisia. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina re-elected for 5th term in Bangladesh amid concerns of fading legitimate opposition. Iraq and Saudi Arabia cooperated to enlist the old pilgrimage road on World Heritage List. New research warns of hidden dangers of teen cannabis use. You can view the latest news on Shia Waves' website, and you can send news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Contact us on the numbers at the bottom of your screen. This is the end of today's news. Thank you for watching, and we pray to Allah the Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Put a finger down if you have access to fresh water. Put a finger down if you have food in your fridge. Put a finger down if you have access to healthcare. Put a finger down if you have never